908 days. 1,908 days. Let's see if we're on. I wanted to open this up too. See if that'll open up where I want it. Okay, so lots happening again today, really, and you can see by all of our numbers that a lot is happening, and those numbers are indicative of all of the information that's coming in because people are sick and tired of what has happened in El Paso. El Paso is absolutely beautiful ancient city right there on the border of Mexico. What has happened to Juarez is such a shame, and we're hearing that money from those up to no good is pouring into Juarez right now. So it's on to try to save these two beautiful cities that I always called Siamese sister cities, just separated by a border. And they're worth it. They are worth saving, and they've been infiltrated. And how do I know? I lived there. I grew up there. I was born at White Sands. I was born at White Sands. Started school there in El Paso. Very familiar. Jogged all the roads, the streets of Fort Bliss. Uh, you know, it's lots of memories. Always went over to Juarez. Yeah, loved it. And of course, that was years ago. And now, look at what they've done with the high taxes, with all the the bonds passing without voter input, right? Um, so let's get started. Let's make sure I'm on. Uh, been talking about this a lot today. Okay, I'm on. Thank you so much. I know I'm coming on very late. We're burning the midnight oil, but it can't be helped. There's no time to sleep. There's a lot to do behind the scenes because a lot is happening. And we are in the negotiation, the very vicious negotiation for our son's remains. That's what the repatriation of our son's remains from Mexico. So today is 1,900 and oh my gosh, what is it? 8? Let's look. Let's look. I want to be right. And I did post it already. Yeah. 1,908 days since Richard was forcibly removed from his barracks room and taken to a soundproof room where he lost his life. They took his life because he is a hero. He is a whistleblower. He did not cave to any of the compromising, the corruption, because we have laid out the evidence of how they were infiltrating into our military base, our Fort Bliss, and on purpose, compromising our soldiers, our young sons and daughters that volunteered. They were not looking out for the best of them, for the best for them, um, not not instilling esprit de corps, not uh, adhering to the Medal of Honor ethos, to their oaths. No, they were absolutely infiltrated in the on base and participating in the worst type of crimes, while compromising the soldiers so that they couldn't become whistleblowers, so that they couldn't be a witness. Okay. So when you're an unreliable source, when you're an unreliable witness, you can't be used. You can't be used. So Richard rose above all of that. They could not compromise him. He was a reliable witness. He was a whistleblower, and exposed um, huge, a huge uh, criminal trafficking syndicate, um, network network that included the orchestration, the carrying out, the covering up of the 2019 Walmart mass shooting. So this is um, absolutely a uh, a huge crime, a really huge crime, and we knew it. We knew it because of the shaking, the absolute shaking, and the level of lies that we were being told. The absolute level of lies. And to the public, because the level of lies was being spread through the media, and to the public, they were getting a false story. And we knew it was a false story. And we decided that we would do what the CID told us to do, even though they didn't think that we would do it. That we would do what the chain of command told us to do, even though I think that they didn't think that we would do it. Um, and that is to investigate what happened to our son ourselves. And so, and to investigate it, to identify the crime, to document the crime, and to file the crime. And so, for the over 5 years, that's what we've been doing. We have been investigating and identifying, documenting, and filing. And it's made some people so upset that they've lashed out at us, right? That they have retaliated against us, that we've suffered through threats, death threats, and all kinds of harassment, intimidation. And, when it comes from a DPS trooper, like Trooper Patrick Brookshire, it's a little shocking, right? It's a little shocking when you have someone that it works for the Department of Public Safety not care about your public safety, but participate with a group that are the suspects in the murder of your sons. In the murder of our son, and the harassment and the threats. And so, of course, we uh, absolutely identified his crime, lots of his crime. I mean, he has a list of crimes that he committed by what he did. And we took time, it takes a lot of time to document it and to file it, and to continue to file it. Um, because you have to drive them to do the right thing. And so yesterday we received a letter where they did the right thing, and he is no longer a reliable source, a reliable witness, which is a big problem for a trooper. It's a big problem. But, he's not a reliable source, okay? Nobody did that to himself but his own character, his own involvement, and his own conflicts of interest, his wife being the family with of Dreams Cabaret, the Mahia Fong family, and also with the Briones family, which are, known for taking bribes. Uh, uh, was arrested for federal. The judge was arrested and put in prison. The Briones judge, and Delia Briones is absolutely, I think, probably the most corrupt El Paso clerk, El Paso County clerk in the history of El Paso. I think so. Or she's competing for that spot. She's very, very corrupt. She allows the tampering of her stamps. We saw that with the Montoya 2028 stamp. It's not 2028 right now, right? It's not 2028, but because of them messing around with because he's a failed installed DA, so that means he failed to install as the Texas Constitution requires him to do. He didn't do that. He's not the DA. He is a fraud. He's absolutely a fake and a fraud, and with his Bonneau name, that makes him even a bigger fake and a fraud, and his lifelong friendship with the killer, Anthony Ray Acuna, of the most decorated FBI special agent in El Paso history, Julio Cordero, who led the poison ponds that got the Briones judge arrested and put in jail for the taking of bribes. Um, you know, you can't make this stuff up, right? I couldn't make this stuff up. I couldn't come on here live and share this information with everybody unless we had hard evidence that documented it all and that we could absolutely prove that what we were saying is right. And what we're saying is right. Something is very fishy with the killing of Julio Cordero because what the papers have said is not the truth. There's a lot. We need the body cam footage because we know that the damage was so bad to Julio's face that his family was not able to have an open casket. Okay, so what the news reports and what the evidence reveals are two different things in that case, and that they kept the name Anthony Ray Acuna from the public, and the body cam footage is criminal. It's absolutely criminal. And to discover then, um, and former DA and AG, U.S. Attorney Jaime Esparza would know this very, very well. He would know it very well that lifelong friends um, is documented of James Bonneau. James Bonneau, before he changed his name to James Bonneau Montoya, um, and also Anthony Ray Acuna. And this is like a favor. It's kind of like reminds you of the county judge Samaniago saying, oh, for a favor, violate my girlfriend's rights, who's ended up in the hospital. And now for a favor, and I don't know if it's for a favor, but I'm like, what the heck is going on when you have Tony Gonzalez having, an intimate, uh, I don't even think it's intimate, having an affair with one of his staff members, and she ends up being set on fire. Okay, and ended up in the morgue, and they're keeping the 911 call like the Samaniago girlfriend favor to keep the 911 call from the public. Why can't we hear the 911 call? Okay, we want to hear the 911 call. And there's all these rumors, about this woman that uh, is no more. And her 9-year-old son, now has no mother. Um, and of course, her husband has no wife because of this affair by Tony Gonzalez. And these questions absolutely need to be answered. The rumors that we're hearing need to be answered. And the same thing with Samaniago, the same thing with with these um, infiltrated or corrupt or compromised officials. We know for a fact, and I mentioned it yesterday, that the chief medical examiner, Mario Raskin Ortiz, he's from Juarez, y'all. He's from Chihuahua. We have the documents to prove it. He was brought over by Veronica Escobar illegally, okay, because through an H-1B visa and with a waiver, and it was illegal because you have to just know the paperwork and look at the paperwork. It was on fraud that he came over, and she gave him a position, a very high paying position, a very important position, determining the cause and manner of death, as an illegal immigrant, as an illegal with immigration fraud. I think that's the best way you can say it. And of course, Samaniago is perpetuating that with a $500,000 salary a year from taxpayers, that Mario Raskin gets. And he is absolutely violating immigration laws in this country. He is committing immigration fraud, and he needs to go back home. He needs to go back home. First, he needs to pay back the $5 million over the decade that he has collected um, from taxpayers because of the fraud, oh gosh, all the cases that he has botched, um, and including the Walmart mass shooting case, including Richard's case. So that is really, really big. So we have, the last few days. It's very, very important to understand this triad, and almost a quad. I don't know if I think triad. We were talking about that today between Delia Briones and so the county clerk and the county chief medical examiner and the county judge, when it comes to this funeral pipeline. And because it's very important, if you have this funeral pipeline fraud, to have the chief medical examiner in your pocket. And it's very important that you have the county clerk who controls the death certificates, everything um, to transnationally transfer with the funeral homes over that border, right? You have to have the county clerk. So you have to have the county medical examiner, you have to have the county clerk, and you have to have the county judge to stop any kind of scrutiny, any kind of oversight into, uh, obstruct justice, really, to obstruct justice. So, Samaniago, we have absolutely set forth, showed everybody his violations, his corrupt character, um, and the violations that he's already done to to tell people, look, he was in on this when it came to Richard. When it came to Richard crossing that border, when it came to Richard's remains crossing that border. And Richard's remains couldn't cross that border unless they were in on it, with the medical examiner, um, with the county clerk, and with the county judge. And so, you have a medical examiner who is totally steeped in fraud and immigration fraud. You have a county clerk that's absolutely steeped in all kinds of corruption, and is surrounded in her family with a history of corruption. And then you have the county judge who's not a judge, right? He's an administrator. He does not have a law degree, who is absolutely has a history of being up to no good on everything, on everything. So that is really important because President Trump is moving very, very fast across the border in Mexico, in Juarez, to um, negotiate the repatriation of Richard's remains. And it's going to shock people. This whole thing with the arrest today is so shocking. Why is it shocking? Because this woman that was arrested, she, and let me get her name. Um, Her name is Nancy Araga. I hope I have that name right. Anyway, and she has another, a couple other names in there, and I'll learn them. I'll learn them by heart for everyone. But she is the owner of the funeral del Carmen, the funeral house del Carmen, and it's over there in Juarez. And she is accused of having four bodies. Okay, that she is accused of improperly handling human remains, is a nice way of putting it. Okay, and she was arrested. She was arrested yesterday, I believe. And she is connected. Her business is connected to the Plenitude Crematorium, where over 400 um, rotting bodies were stacked, and these bodies date back to 2020. Okay, they date back until that time. So, um, yeah, it's that disgusting. It is that bad. Okay, it is that much fraud, and there's more, but so this arrest is really shocking because she is being arrested for four bodies, four human remains. Okay. One is enough to be arrested, right? The improper handling of one human remain is sacrilege and is enough to be arrested. But Raphael Aurelian Quran, his property, he's the owner, he is the self-confessed owner of Plenitude Crematorium, has over 400 improperly handled human remains. And why is he being protected by County Judge Samaniego? Fine dining, right? Fine dining with Samaniego, right? Living in Sausenbraus, as my grandmother would put it, in El Paso, right? Having businesses in El Paso. When he is from Juarez and has committed this enormous sacrilegious crime, um, and the fraud by giving families, taking their families' loved one's body and giving them back ground mortar, because he's in the construction business, ground pulverized rocks in an urn, and telling them a lie that that is the remains of their loved one. So this is, so egregious. And this arrest of Nancy, the owner of the Del Carmen, comes on the heels of the arrest of a big fish, and that's El Pato the duck, right? El Pato. Um, this is a big deal because um, he is a very, what they would call a high value target. He was arrested with the help of the CIA. Okay, now people aren't supposed to know that, but it was published, and we were shocked that it was published, but it was published. And I think that maybe it was on purpose to let the cartel know, to let this bad funeral syndicate know that the highest level of intelligence is paying attention to what is going on in their criminal activity and arresting high value targets like this El Pato. His name is Leonardo Daniel Martinez Vera. But you know, and there's other connections with that Martinez, right? There's other connections with that connect into El Paso. And he is um, not too nice of a guy, okay? Uh, and it is a little confusing because the evidence that we have with Governor Maru Campos's um, evidence, her mother, Maria Eugenia Galvan, and her participation in this, um, points to that the Los Chapitos faction of the Sinaloa cartel, which is an FTO, is the ones involved in this crematorium. That is, of course, Del Carmen. Okay, because that is also Purchase Funeral Homes. That's also other funeral homes that are transnational that go into El Paso. And, um, and why is this important to us? Because our son's remains are thought to be there and be handled, wrongly handled, improperly handled, and disposed um, there in this crematorium, and with this group, um, and even possibly um, Nancy at Del Carmen would know something. Okay, so the arrest a couple days ago of the duck El Pato um, is no accident. Um, there's a lot of intelligence that we know about it, how he was handled, um, how other officials were kept out of this because knowing that they are compromised. Um, and that's why I believe that they meant to expose that the CIA was involved in this arrest of El Pato, because he is a major leader of the La Maiza. I hope I say that right. He's a key operator of that, which is loyal to Los Chapitos, which is very important because it's Los Chapitos. That is Mauro Campos. That is Maria Eugenia Galvan. That is Cesar Haragi. That is involved in with Rafael Arellano Curan with the Plenitude Crematorium, which Del Carmen is attached to, is also involved with. And so, if it was El Mayo, we would be like, oh, okay, well, that doesn't match. But no, Los Chapitos is who the duck is loyal to, and to this faction. And why? Because since the arrests, the extradition of, and there's a lot of chaos around this, but of Elmayo Zampata, Ismael Elmayo Zampata, there has been an internal battle for control over the Sinaloa cartel. And so there's factions going on, and the faction that's involved in where we're looking for our son's remains is the Los Chapitos. So that is why it's so important to understand um, just the weight, the gravity of this situation, that it is the duck that is arrested, that it is Nancy that is arrested. Her son's already been arrested for 4 bodies, but yet Raphael, um, he is in El Paso hiding out and having dinner with the county judge, who is very important in covering for the death certificate fraudster, the fraud clerk, the fake fraud clerk, the corrupted clerk, Delia Briones, and the immigration fraudster, uh, the chief medical examiner who determines the cause and manner of death, right? Uh, is an immigration fraudster, Mario Raskin Ortiz, who has deep ties already in the death business over in Juarez. His whole life has been in the death business. This is absolutely, and I've been saying it for years, that a common denominator is with these funeral houses, this funeral business. Um, I mean, we had, remember Chris Martin just being so involved in this case. Now you know why, right? Um, and so uh, and of course the Mormon faction common denominator that has been just yelling from every piece of evidence that we have. Um, Not that we want that to be; it's just that is what the evidence has revealed, and so this is huge, huge news because there is a battle going on right now to release Richard's remains. I mean, this is, um, there's no other way the puzzle pieces fit together. There's only one way the puzzle pieces fit together, and that is because of all of our witnesses that we have, because of all the information that we have, because of Richard's designations, because of him being a national sacrifice for national security now, whose name is indelible and will never be forgotten, a national hero, deserving of the respect, the love of the entire nation. These are not, the letter from President Trump is uh, not something that a normal Gold Star family gets. Okay, it's just not a normal thing, and to have 2 in a row. Remember, there were 2 letters, one on August 6th and one on August 7th this year, and um, the president doesn't write those kinds of letters without knowing, having the intelligence from the CIA and the DNI, which is Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi Gabbard's a huge hero in all of this. And, um, there's a battle. What I can tell you is there's a battle for the repatriation of Richard's remains. And it's a vicious negotiation, and you're seeing it now through these arrests of because El Pato, the duck, El Pato, he's a big, I mean, he's a really big leader, and they don't want him being arrested because he knows so much. He knows which officials in the Mexican government are getting paid, are on the take. He knows this, okay? That's the level that he is. And so they don't want him to be interrogated. They don't want him to be in the hands of the United States where they can, these officials that have bank accounts in the United States can lose their visas, lose their yeah, to lose their visas, and some of them are even naturalized, right? And they can be unnaturalized, right, for their criminal activity. So this is really they did not want this kind of a scrutiny, this kind of arrest. They don't want Nancy to be arrested, you know, because those that are arrested that are facing long sentences will sing to make a plea deal in that. So um, yeah, so that is really huge news. Let me read some of your comments. Thank you so much, Anicia, for coming on. Your love and your prayers are always felt. And those stars, I always look at those stars as like angels, angels, because the angels have been just surrounding us right now. It's just, that's why I've been talking about them so much lately, because I just felt them so much. Um, God is with us, Mama Bear, and the heavenly realm. Absolutely. El Paso is honestly being exploited in so many ways and shapes. And that is it's also being revealed, right? It's being revealed. It's being um, shaken up. It is a shaking is happening right now in El Paso and in Juarez like never before. I mean, it's been decades and decades. I don't even know if they've ever had this kind of shake up. So there you go. Perfect example of impersonating something he isn't. Many businesses here are owned by Juarez people and the Mormon faction, right? Yes, of course, like the teams, the sports teams, the buildings, all this so much stuff. Um, and then, of course, military housing is controlled by Woody Hunt. Uh, all Juarez works in El Paso and every business. Yeah. Yeah, that's why I call it the Siamese sister city. And that's fine when laws are respected and oaths are respected and the rule of law is adhered. People are being held accountable. It's all fine because then we can live in peace, right? Then we can live in peace with one another when we have a respected legal system. That is, you know, you have two countries, so the laws have to be similar, right? They have to be similar for neighbors to get along. And so that's why it's so important. That's why faith is so important because, of course, God gives us a legal system that we need to respect. And like Tony Gonzalez, when he doesn't respect it, look what happens all through this, right? It's just gets very, very vicious and very dangerous, and people end up in the morgue, or they get trafficked. Their body gets stolen, dismembered, and trafficked, like Richard, because no, this is a major crime, and they wanted to hide the evidence of the crime, and so we are, but we're not going to stop as gross as as terrible as the crime is. We're not going to stop. We're going to face it. We're going to move forward, and we're going to do everything that we can to get our sons' remains repatriated, whatever remains are there, whatever condition they're in. We want our sons' remains. So, and this is really important nationally because Richard is, um, a ultimate sacrifice for national security. So it becomes really the duty of the United States government to repatriate uh, Richard's remains. So that's um, and Brookshire, for Patrick Brookshire to not want that, right? To interfere. And clearly, that's what the harassing is all about, right? It's about interfering, it's about intimidation to make it stop, make the investigation stop, make the search stop, make the questions with the answers to stop, make the filing stop of all the identified crime. That's what they're trying to do. But now, what happened in his case is so big. And I'll talk about it more tomorrow, how, um, this is really very, very positive for us, a very positive development for us in getting justice for Richard. Um, it's huge. So we'll let you know about that tomorrow. Uh, and just to reiterate these arrests, how important they are. Um, we had the tunnel. What was his name? Uh, oh God, Delta One, right? Uh, we He was arrested. Of course, now El Pato. Of course, Cesar Pineche's house was raided. This is not a house; it's a mansion, $20 million mansion. And then now, Del Carmen is um, is arrested with 4 bodies, but with over 400 bodies. Um, Raphael is still in El Paso. Okay, so that's uh, if you have an opinion on that, please share it. Please share it because that doesn't seem right, and you can see how what Judge Samaniego, how I think he's in big trouble. He's in big trouble for whining and dining the owner of Plenitude Crematorium. You know, if Nancy can get arrested for 4 bodies, sacrilegiously handling 4 bodies, why is Ricardo Semeniago whining and dining at a very expensive restaurant? Uh, eh, the the flesh the flesh peddler, that's what they call him, the flesh peddler. Why is he whining and dining with the flesh peddler of over 400 bodies? Right? Doesn't sound right. It sounds like both of them need to be arrested now, right? Both of them. So many outlaws from Mexico are here. Yeah. So, because, this evil, it's contagious. And, but good is um, also spreads. And that's why we need to hold these leaders accountable because they're trying to spread, um, chaos in our beautiful cities, right? A lot of chaos and division. And we haven't fell for it lately. I think we're really coming together. I think we're really coming together. We're realizing that this is a spiritual warfare, that this is really not about party names. This is about good and what's good and what's bad, what's right and what's wrong. And I think we're coming together. At least all of the information that we're getting is very positive. So I just want to say thank you so much. Thank you so much, and please share, 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 share. I can't tell you how important it is. We are on a huge momentum right now. Please share because then we can drive them to really we're very, very close. We're very, very close. I mean, only God knows. I can't tell you a date or time, but I can just tell you that we're at the stage where we are negotiating for the return of Richard's remains. So thank you so much. God bless you, and I will be.